There was a job summit, apparently. Did they get any jobs? Did they skills they were supposed to be talking about? They sat on the beanbags. They dudded our pensioners. They dudded the vets. So they brought in something kind of superficial, Rita, to allow kind of a few months where the pensioners could get a little bit more money. But it's so much red tape and so hard. Do you think it'll work?
Well, it's the start of a good idea, but it certainly isn't the end of it. But no, I mean, this whole thing, it was all predetermined policies. It was, these useful idiots who put themselves up there. I hope they understand they were used. They were used and misused by this government. And the way they were boasting about, we've got 50-50 representation at this summit. In future years, we'll look back on this and marvel. I mean, give me a break. Well, I think the big headline item, the thing that's going to actually have a significant impact on the country, other than the unions getting everything they want, is this lift in permanent migration numbers.
James, what do you think of that, James?
Well, look, I mean, some industries like hospitality are absolutely screaming out for more workers, and and I hear them, and I talk to a lot of people in that area. However, a lot of this just feels like a big, little bit of a sop to the corporate sector. Say, okay, we'll let you import some more migrant workers, but we don't know where they're going to live. We already have a housing crisis in this country. I think they've put a big prop underneath the apartment market right there with that, which is fine, I guess, for investors. But it's fine for big corporates. It's fine for investors. But the big winner out of all of this is the unions, because this is all heading back towards the bad old days of pattern bargaining across industries. And you know who that does? That does small and medium-sized enterprises. And I think the big story of this, frankly, is how you had the big unions, you had the big corporates, and you only had tiny little bits of representation from small business.
There was no small business there. There was no small business.
There was tiny little bits of it. There was Cosmo. They had one person there.
Very, very, very small businesses.
But I don't think that they're getting adequate representation right now out of their leadership.
I was disappointed.
And so what is happening here, guys? This is, Hawke and Keating, this is a return to the pre-Hawke and Keating days. This is a return to the day when big government, big unions, big corporates all work together to carve up the economy and screw the little guy.
Exactly.
I spoke to some small business representatives on Friday, and I can tell you they are not happy. So hopefully we'll hear a lot more from them in the coming week. But it's also interesting with this lift to 195,000 residents per year coming in. There's this philosophical change. They don't want to have these temporary migrants coming in, filling in those gaps in the job market. They want permanent residents. So it is a change, and I think it's a debate this country hasn't had. What is our ideal population number? And are we actually working towards that, or are we just bringing in people because we see some economic activity from the migration?
And yet, at the same time, so every time we need anybody who's skilled and can do anything, why is it that we have to go overseas? Because we saw the report in the Weekend Australian on Saturday. They said that we're raising functionally illiterate kids. So our school system isn't doing anything to actually turn out people who are qualified to work. And yet, so every time it's because it's just easier instead to just import people. This is the great, problem that's going to unfold over the next 10,
But it always
20 years.
has been for decades. And Australia refuses to learn. We keep bringing more and more people in. We don't build the infrastructure. Our dams. I mean, come on. We've got Labor, the New South Wales Labor Party.
We both know that the rain that falls will not fill our dams.
Genius idea from the Labor Party, who you were talking about the other day, this Chris Minns bloke. Instead of raising the dam walls, they're going to lower the amount of water in the dam. What a genius. That's a really clever idea. When you're bringing 200,000 people into Sydney, let's lower the amount of water that we have on tap.
And when we have a drought, as this country has had
which we will have
forever,
very soon,
we will say, it's climate change that we're running out of water, not the fact that we've doubled the population
and we emptied
without
the dam,
building
and Labor
any
got in and emptied the dam. Great work.